The Yay or Nay Show with Alex C. A sports show for sports fans by a sports fan. And now, here is Alex C.
All right, here we go. Yay or Nay Show with Alex C. A sports show for sports fans by a sports fan. Let's start off with this really quickly. So the LA Lakers, there's a lot of talk going on about the Lakers, and we knew there would be. They're on a coaching search. Now, Jeannie Buss has asked the former Chicago Bulls head coach Phil Jackson to be involved in the coaching search and help them and assist them in any way he can. And there is speculation. And, of course, it's speculation because you always run into situations and scenarios where you have the people speculating and trying to create issues where there aren't necessarily issues, saying that LeBron James might not want to stay with the LA Lakers if Phil Jackson's involved. Phil Jackson, of course, not a fan of LeBron James. He has made certain comments in regards to LeBron and his team and, you know, what LeBron brings to the overall picture when it comes to, you know, the NBA rosters that he has created and things of that nature. Again, and it's been one of those scenarios where they haven't necessarily seen eye to eye in regards to what they think should or should not be happening. So with that being said, there's a lot of, again, question as to whether LeBron James will actually stay a Laker because he might get mad, leave because Phil Jackson's involved. And my thing is this. First and foremost, the LA Lakers would do themselves a huge favor by getting rid of LeBron James and Anthony Davis. They need to get rid of the old tires, and they need to put some young, fresh guys on that court. And they, first of all, save a lot of money by getting rid of those two. They're overpriced. Neither one of them can perform to the athletic level that those salaries require. I would have stopped babying LeBron James about 5 or 6 years ago. I never believed in babying him to begin with at all. I don't believe in placating the players in any way, shape, or form, first and foremost. So let me put that out there. I don't believe in placating to NBA players. I don't believe in babying these guys. I don't believe in allowing them to choose the roster or the people they want to play with or who should be the head coach. It's none of their business who's going to be the head coach. Their job is to get told what to do, when to do, and how to do it. And the coaches get paid to be the ones to put those orders out there. They are the general on the basketball team, not the players. The players, unfortunately, and coaches are as well, but players, unfortunately, you know, they're like rental cars. You're only going to use them for a little while. Once the mileage gets too high, you kick them to the curb and you go get another younger, fresher model. That's the way it works in the NFL, Major League Baseball, the NBA, professional sports in general. Coaches, you know, until you stop winning, you're the head coach of that team. Once you stop winning, once you stop competing for championships, once you stop making that team at least one of the most exciting products on the field or the court to see, then, you know, you're going to lose your job as the head coach as well. And, of course, if you lose the locker room and you don't have the confidence of the locker room, you're going to lose your job for that reason as well. Disputes with management, obviously, just like anybody else in a 9-to-5 job, you're going to lose your job for that reason. But the bottom line is players are simply rental cars. Once they get up there in miles, you kick them to the curb and you get another lower mileage car. Well, LeBron James, first and foremost, he's been on high mileage for a long time. And again, I never agreed with teams allowing him to make roster decisions, coaching decisions, acting as he's not only the player, but he's also the general manager. So I've never believed in that. I would have never allowed it. And now, especially when you're looking at LeBron James and where he is at this moment in his career, I don't know why you would placate to him and allow him again to choose the roster. Look at the disaster that's the LA Lakers and a lot of these other rosters. Keep in mind, LeBron James didn't build a lot of these rosters. When he went to the Miami Heat, the roster was already built. He was a missing piece to the roster, but the roster was already built. And then, of course, you know, they brought in one other piece, and that's it. Outside of that, the roster was built. In Cleveland, you know, the roster pretty much was built. They bring in LeBron, already had Kyrie. The two couldn't get along, but they did the best they could. Bottom line is, LeBron was a piece, but he didn't determine the roster. He did fight and, you know, shape who the coach is going to be and what the coaching style needed to be, and he did that in Miami, and he did that in Cleveland. but he didn't determine the roster in Cleveland. He didn't determine the roster in Miami. Again, they also didn't go add pieces without, talking to LeBron, which I can understand that part. You would do that. That makes perfect sense. You want to keep a player happy, but you don't make the decision based solely on what LeBron thinks. The Lakers made the mistake of making decisions based on what LeBron thinks and what LeBron wanted, giving him carte blanche. And then when you did that, what happened? Well, you got the disaster that is the LA Lakers now. And everybody can talk about, but they won a championship, but they didn't win a championship. It's the bubble. There was no home court, number one. Besides no home court, they also had a situation where without home court, you had players that opted out. You had a situation where Anthony Davis didn't have to go through a full season, so therefore you didn't see him get injured like he does each and every season because they had 4 months off because of COVID-19. So it wasn't a real season. You had an unprecedented 4 months off and no home court. So was it really a championship that the LA Lakers won? No. So now fast forward to where we are today, and a lot of people are saying LeBron's going to complain, he's going to throw a fit, he's going to want, possibly will leave because Phil Jackson's involved in the coaching search, and he's going to be the one to determine the coaching search. And it's almost as if you're taking LeBron James and you're kicking him out of the general manager's office and telling him that he will not have any say in regards to who the head coach of the LA Lakers is going to be. And I guess maybe that's true. But again, the LA Lakers never should have put him in a position of power like that to begin with. You should never allow a player, I don't care whether it's baseball, it's football, or it's basketball, you should never allow a player to have the power to make the decisions in regards to personnel and coaching. That's not their job. Their job is to go to work, get better at their craft, win, and get paid based off their wins and get paid based off their performance. That's what their job is. Their job is not to sit there and play general manager and micromanage everything and second guess the coach and decide who the head coach is going to be and bring in players and then be the one to chastise players or promote players based on what they think. They're a player. They're not at the coaching level. They don't deserve to make those decisions. They're not a general manager. They don't deserve to make those decisions. And LeBron James, again, Anthony Davis. Look, Anthony Davis can't stay healthy. To me, Anthony Davis is a off-the-bench role player at best. He's not a full-time player. If you want to keep the guy on the court for a full season, Anthony Davis is a off-the-bench role player. Give him 28, 30 minutes at best. Sit him down for some games. Let him rest so he doesn't have to play all 82 games. That's what you do with Anthony Davis. You want to keep him around for a full season. You want to keep him healthy. The guy doesn't know how to do it himself. So he is a role player off the bench, 6-man, 28 minutes a game. That's what you do with Anthony Davis. He is not an NBA superstar. Yes, he does have NBA superstar talent, but he is not an NBA superstar because your number one ability in any professional sport is availability. And Anthony Davis is an absolute failure at being available for his teams. He was a failure in New Orleans, and he is an absolute failure with the LA Lakers. Now, let's move back over to LeBron James. LeBron James is durable, but again, he is one of the top 10, top 15 players in the NBA right now, and he's been top 10 for about the last 5 years. Let's face it, he has not been one of the top 3. I know you'll get the national media running around telling you how LeBron James has been top 3, and they're still going to try and argue that even this year and the upcoming season before us that he is still a top 3. No, he's not. No, he's not. Look at all the other teams. All the other teams that are in the NBA playoffs, they're all teams. Key word is teams. Milwaukee Bucks, team. Philadelphia 76ers, team. Phoenix Suns, team. Utah Jazz, team. Dallas Mavericks, team. Miami Heat, team. It is about team basketball that wins you titles. Yes, you would like to have an NBA elite on that roster. It makes the team better. But when you try to make your team based on a bunch of NBA elites, it's never going to work. Look at the Brooklyn Nets. I think they've got some of the most phenomenal players on the planet on the Nets, but yet they can't win a title. Why? Well, they can't win a title because if one of the stars gets hurt, then It hurts the team because the team is based on stars. That's why the Brooklyn Nets don't work. That's why it's been 3 years and it has not worked. And I thought it would work. I really did. But I think now we've got enough of a sample size of everything we've seen. Look, let's go back to the Golden State Warriors when they had Kevin Durant. What happened? Kevin Durant got hurt. That team was based on superstars, right? Stephen Curry, Kevin Durant. We all know the rest of the roster. But what happened? One of the biggest pieces, Kevin Durant, got hurt, and they had a 73-win season. 73-win season the year before. And the only reason why they didn't win without an all-superstar roster was because Draymond Green was out. But there goes the point. It was a superstar roster. Draymond Green was one of the superstars. Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, Draymond Green. Draymond Green is out. And guess what happens? The Golden State Warriors lose after having a 73-win season. Fast forward to the following season, add Kevin Durant. What happens? Kevin Durant gets hurt. And because you rely so heavily on the superstars, when they get hurt, the team suffers. That's the way it works. Well, actually, it would have been 2 seasons later because the next season when Kevin Durant came, they won, right? Because all the stars were healthy. Then the following season, they lose because Kevin Durant is not healthy. And then he leaves and he goes to Brooklyn. And now Golden State is built off a team that they are building young stars and building a team culture, and they are winning. And some would say they got a great shot at winning the NBA Finals this year. So when you look at everything that's going on in the NBA, you've got to look and say, you need to build a team to have a consistent chance to win an NBA title. Me personally, I don't think it's a good idea to bring in a bunch of superstars to get one title and then say that that's a success. I would rather constantly and consistently be competing for titles and then win titles once every few years versus get a team, build a bunch of superstars, elevate your payroll, pay a luxury tax, finally win a title, and then you're a bum of a team for the next decade. Because look at how long it took Cleveland after LeBron left. Look how long it took Cleveland to get back to any kind of basketball that was respectable. Miami Heat, look how long it took them to get back to any kind of basketball that was respectable. They were winning, they started drafting, they started building, but it took forever. Cleveland took forever. He goes, he builds, and then he leaves, and the teams are destroyed and decimated. Happened in Cleveland, happened in Miami. It's going to happen again in LA because that's what happens when you allow a star all the power. And by the way, it happened in Cleveland twice. You don't allow teams to be built off superstars because when you become superstar dependent, when the superstar either A, leaves you for more money, or B, becomes injured, you're no longer a contender for the NBA Finals. When you build a team and you have one player get injured, it's next man up, and you have a winning and a team culture, now you're still able to compete. Milwaukee, Miami, Phoenix Suns, Utah Jazz, Dallas Mavericks, Denver Nuggets. Even though they're struggling, they're still making it to the playoffs, and they still haven't been fully loaded with all their weapons either. They're still dealing with some of the injuries for like the last 3 years now. But if Denver was ever to have their roster on that court, they would have a shot at making an NBA title run. But they are, even without the full roster, still able to be competitive and to make it to the playoffs consistently. That's what you want. You don't want a team that gets decimated when the stars leave or when a star leaves. And you don't want a team that can't afford other valuable pieces that could be brought onto your roster, but you can't afford them because you're paying superstar money to just 2 guys like Anthony Davis and LeBron James. Get rid of those guys. Go young. go hard in the draft, get you a couple of young guys that can come off the bench from some other teams that are already on a roster but aren't seeing a lot of significant time, but you believe you can build with them. That's what you do for the LA Lakers instead of relying on LeBron James and hoping that they get lucky like they did in the bubble, because the bubble was nothing but luck, and it was the basketball gods smiling on the Lakers because, again, there was no home court. They didn't have to pay a full season, so they didn't have to worry about Anthony Davis getting injured like he does each and every season, because it wasn't a full season. And not only was it not a full season, but they had 4 months off. 4 months off. So it was like coming into a brand new season. And then they play 8 games and go immediately into the playoffs, and they don't have to travel anywhere, and there's no home court advantage for anybody. So no. Winning in the bubble, there's an asterisk next to it. That's not a big deal. I know you'll hear guys on the national sports media try and talk about you shouldn't make fun of the bubble. It's respectable. They won. No, it's not legitimate. I just listed the reasons why, and I am not the only person that thinks this way. There are other people in the national sports media that think exactly the same way I do. Absolutely. All right. Let's switch over to tanking allegations made by ex-Cleveland Browns coach Hugh Jackson. They can't be substantiated, so the report goes. Let's read it. The NFL said Monday that an independent review found no evidence to substantiate allegations made by former Cleveland Brown head coach Hugh Jackson that the team intentionally lost games in the 2016 and 2017 seasons. Jackson was fired by Browns owner D and Jimmy Haslam 8 games into the 2018 season with a 3-36-1 overall record in 2+ years. Again, I don't know, or I should say, when this story first broke, I didn't know what to say about it. I didn't know whether there could be true facts in regards to the tanking allegations. We all know teams do tank. This could just be a coach who was sitting there and trying to make an excuse for why he had a bad record. And now it looks more and more like that, in fact, is the case. He was just trying to make an excuse for having a bad record, but after the investigation, it has been found that there is no merit to the claims that he has made in regards to him being fired for having a bad record when he was, in fact, being instructed to tank. Flipping back over to the NBA, Miami Heat guard Tyler Herro receives 96 first-place votes en route to the Sixth Man of the Year award. So Miami Heat guard Tyler Herro's breakout moment might have come in the NBA postseason bubble, but his best sustained play has come off the bench. He was honored for his reserve role by being named the Sixth Man of the Year for the 21 and 22 season. The league announced it on Tuesday. We're trying to win a championship here, so whether it's starting or coming off the bench for me, I accepted that role. I'm just happy to be on this team and happy to accept my role, Herro said last month after he was announced as a finalist for the award. So again, Tyler Herro receives the Sixth Man of the Year award in the NBA. Here's one history being made. Dusty Baker became the 12th manager in Major League history to win 2,000 games and the first black manager to reach the milestone with the Astros 4-0 victory Tuesday night over the Seattle Mariners in Houston. And it came more than 29 years after he collected his first win on April 6, 1993 in San Francisco's 2-1 victory over the St. Louis Cardinals. So congratulations to Dusty Baker, history being made. Speaking of history, and this isn't good history, I disagree with this whole thing. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers will play the Seattle Seahawks in the NFL's first regular season game in Germany. The league announced it on Wednesday. The teams will play at 9:30 a.m. November 13th at Allianz Arena, home of the FC Bayern Munich. The NFL also announced the 3 9:30 a.m. Eastern time games that will be played in London next season. The New Orleans Saints will face the Minnesota Vikings on October 2nd. The Green Bay Packers will play the New York Giants on October 9th. And the Jacksonville Jaguars will play the Denver Broncos on October 30th. But again, this to me is just the worst thing in the world. Why are we sending football teams that are NFL, U.S.-based teams to go play games in Germany? This is where corporate America goes bad. This is a money grab. This is them trying to figure out how to make more money. And you're asking teams to fly out to Germany and within 1 week's time, figure out how to get acclimated to a totally different time zone, not to mention the jet lag, and be prepared to play their 100% best on a Sunday and at a time that they would never play if they played here in the United States. It's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, ridiculous to ask teams to do this. This is stupid. There's no politically correct way to say this. This is stupid. I don't agree with all these teams having to fly all over the world to play. Even the London games, I'm not a fan of. Again, time zones, playing at times where you would not play, especially if you're an East Coast team. It's ridiculous to ask these teams to do this. Actually, it doesn't even matter whether you're talking about East Coast or West Coast. This is stupid. The 49ers and the Cardinals, they're going to play on November 21st. It's going to be a Monday night game in Mexico City. That one's not so bad. I still don't agree with it, but that one's not so bad. But Germany, London, this stuff is dumb. It's a money grab. They're trying to figure out how to make more money. This is greed at its best, and you're asking players to get out of their element to deal with jet lag, and it's just dumb. This is dumb. I thought that the players got rid of this idea when they first introduced it to them years back. Arizona Diamondbacks pitcher Madison Bumgarner was ejected Wednesday after the first inning of his start against the Miami Marlins after a confrontation with first base umpire Dan Bellino. Now, after a foreign substance check in which Bellino stared at Bumgarner during a longer than typical examination of his left hand, Bumgarner and Bellino exchanged words. Bellino then threw the four-time All-Star out of the game. Bumgarner was ejected for the altercation with Bellino and not because a foreign substance was detected. A furious Bumgarner needed to be held back by Diamondbacks manager Torey Lovullo and catcher Jose Herrera following the ejection. Earlier in the inning, he had shown frustration when the plate umpire Ryan Willis called a close pitch to Miami's Garrett Cooper a ball. Now, again, Madison Bumgarner ejected from an Arizona Diamondbacks game after an awkward exchange. The rumors were going around that he was ejected for foreign substance. But as we read the story, they say it was for the altercation and not because there was a foreign substance detected. 49ers, Deebo Samuel. We all know what's going on there. Let's talk about that a little bit. So the soft deadline for the San Francisco 49ers to trade disgruntled receiver Deebo Samuel, which was the NFL draft, has come and gone, with Samuel still a member of the team from which he has requested a trade. Still plenty of work remains if the Niners and Samuel are going to fix whatever is broken. There's certain things that people got to go through. Coach Kyle Shanahan said there's certain things everyone is trying to get through and trying to do, and to see what you can do and how you can get there. You can work out anything, hopefully, when this is all said and done. We'll get the best thing for the Niners, best thing for Deebo, and hopefully that's the same thing, because we'd love to keep going how we've been, but we know that's in front of us right now. The 49ers have said they have no intention of trading Samuel. General manager John Lynch was clear about that on April 25th when he said he couldn't imagine a scenario in which he'd be willing to deal his star offensive weapon. Shanahan struck a similar tone on Friday. Neither denied that other teams called to check on Samuel, but Shanahan said nobody was remotely close to swaying San Francisco into a deal. And the final story that we've got for today is Major League Baseball. So there is a scoring drought. A lot of people are talking about a scoring drought in Major League Baseball. So let's talk about that a little bit. So MLB teams averaged 4.0 runs per game in April, which is the lowest average for a month since 1981, and 0.26 runs per team per game, fewer than a season ago. In fact, the league-wide batting average of 231 was the lowest through April in MLB history, and the 675 OPS was the lowest since 1968, aka the year of the pitcher. Offenses are scoring the fewest runs per game in 4 decades, posting the worst OPS in more than 50 years, and hitting for the lowest batting average ever 1 month into the season. But the numbers are even more eye-opening when you account for the fact that the universal DH was added this season. I don't know what the remedy for this is. It's going to be interesting to see. A lot of people are talking about there's not a lot of long balls. There's a lot of stuff going on. There's also conversation, rumors, I should say, about the baseball itself. What's in the baseball? Has it changed this season yet again? I guess we'll have to wait and see. Obviously, there'll be more reports to come out. NBA basketball. Let's talk about the results of the games that are going on right now. So the Warriors and the Grizzlies pulled it off last night, 106-101. That season goes back to Golden State, knotted up one apiece. But again, I get it. The national media is all excited about Ja Morant. They want to talk about Ja Morant, talk about how great he is and this, that, and the other. I have said once, I'll say it twice, I'll say it 100 times. First and foremost, it's already been proven that Memphis can win without Ja Morant. He is not the star of that team. He is a piece of that team. But they are not going to beat Golden State when they go into these scoring slumps that they go through, and I've been watching them go through them through the first two games of this season. But they're at home. You expect that extra bump to be theirs. So they got the game to win, but I'm not excited about Memphis because, again, they're not as good as Golden State. They're not as seasoned as Golden State, and Golden State doesn't have the scoring slumps that Memphis does, and Memphis is not playing a Minnesota team that's going to lose or blow 20-point leads because they also go into scoring slumps. You're not going to get the scoring slumps from the Golden State Warriors like you did against the Minnesota Timberwolves. So, again, I think Minnesota's going to go home. They're going to win two, and eventually they're going to close out the Memphis Grizzlies. Milwaukee got spanked by the Boston Celtics. I said Boston had to throw everything, including the kitchen sink, at KD and the Brooklyn Nets in order to get past them. They did it. It took a lot out of them. They came into game one tired, unfocused, unavailable to give 150% like they had to do with the Brooklyn Nets. But yet they come into game two, a lot fresher, a lot more focused, made a lot of in-game adjustments. Obviously, they were more prepared for Milwaukee, and they spanked them 109-86, evened up that series. I think they're going to go back to Milwaukee. They're probably going to split the two games in Milwaukee, and then they're going to take care of business in game 6 against the Milwaukee Bucks. Because, again, Milwaukee goes into scoring slumps. Holiday goes into scoring slumps. Yes, he'll appear for one game, and then everybody will act as if he's been playing the whole series great, when in fact it's just one game. But he'll go into scoring slumps. Milwaukee, even if they had Middleton, him and Holiday both go into scoring slumps. So without Middleton, it doesn't matter. With Middleton, it doesn't matter. They go into scoring slumps. It's all on Giannis' shoulders, and Giannis is not going to take that team to the promised land on his own. Holiday in the slumps that he gets into, and he showed that he was still in it again in last night's game against the Celtics, is never going to be the kind of man that can help Giannis get the team to the promised land. This is why Miami has never legitimately won an NBA title. Last year, the only reason why they got there, as we all know, is because all the superstars, every superstar on the opposing teams went down, and they were able to waltz their way into the NBA Finals. They did not legitimately win and compete against the best teams to get to the NBA Finals and win the title. That's not what happened. Now they are having to battle the best teams with all their stars, and now you're seeing this is the same Milwaukee team it's always been, a team that cannot win a title because they're not good enough. You're not going to get a season like you did a year ago where all the superstars get knocked out and Milwaukee just has to stay healthy to make it to the NBA Finals. Sixers and the Heat, well, we all know Embiid out. Philadelphia without Harden, playing out of his mind, showing us that he can, in fact, play like he did 4 or 5 years ago, and maybe it's over for him as far as that level of playing is concerned. And if it is, it's over for the 76ers, because even if Embiid comes back in game 3 or game 4, I don't know that it's going to be enough to get past Miami. It could be if he can make it back by game 3, but if he doesn't make it back by game 3, and in fact it is game 4, that's his first appearance, it's probably going to be too late. Suns Mavericks game 2 tonight. Again, I said it's going to be a tough series, and I would not be surprised if the Mavericks come out and win the series over the Suns. I expect a great game tonight. Would not be surprised if the Mavericks come out tonight and even up that series as well. There's a lot of great action going on in the NBA, without a doubt. So, again, more games to watch tonight. Suns and Mavericks is one of them. I'll be watching that game and keeping a close eye on it. We'll talk about those results and a whole lot more tomorrow on Yay or Nay Show.